Your mind is either your greatest asset or your most dangerous liability. Every single day, a silent war is waged inside your head between two entirely different ways of thinking. One side of your mind is fast, automatic, and operates completely outside of your conscious control. It is the primitive voice of instinct, designed for survival, not for building wealth. The other side is slow, deliberate, and logical, but it is also incredibly lazy. When you walk through a grocery store and impulsively grab a piece of fruit or a sugary snack, that is your primitive brain taking the wheel. It requires zero effort, but it is dangerously easy to manipulate. Because your logical brain is lazy, it usually accepts whatever comfortable story your primitive brain feeds it. This exact same psychological flaw, the one that makes you buy a piece of fruit on a whim, is quietly draining your life savings. It happens through a mental trap called anchoring, a glitch in human nature where we place far too much weight on the very first piece of information we receive. When you step onto a car lot, a used car salesman will almost always start the negotiation with an artificially high price. Your primitive mind subconsciously latches onto that high number, locking it in as the absolute baseline of value. When the salesman eventually drops the price, your brain is tricked into seeing a massive bargain. You feel like you won, but your adjustments away from that initial anchor are almost always entirely insufficient. You just paid thousands of dollars more than you planned, simply because your brain took a mental shortcut. The exact same illusion controls how we buy real estate. When people buy houses, they almost always negotiate using the seller's listed price as their starting point. That listed price becomes an anchor in your mind, forcing you to negotiate downward from a completely fictional ceiling. Your decisions feel entirely rational and calculated, but they are not. They are simply biological reactions to carefully planted cues, leaving you with less money and an illusion of control. You might believe that the ultimate solution to this problem is simply to work harder and earn more money. But making more money does not fix a broken psychological framework. For most people, an increase in income only guarantees an equal and immediate increase in their expenses. This is the lifestyle trap, the endless, exhausting sprint of the rat race. The paradox of wealth is that people desperately want it so they can signal to others that they are successful and worthy of admiration. We trade our most valuable asset, our time, to buy things we do not need, just to impress people we do not even truly know. But true wealth is actually what you do not see. It is the luxury cars not purchased, the diamonds not bought, and the expensive upgrades declined. Our psychology demands visible status, so we spend everything we earn to project an image of success. When most people say they want to be a millionaire, what they actually mean is that they want to spend $1 million. And spending $1 million is literally the exact opposite of being a millionaire. If your self-worth is tied to the things you buy, your psychology will never evolve, no matter how much your paycheck grows. You cannot out-earn a poor mindset. Now, take this flawed, emotional, impulsive brain and drop it into the most ruthless environment on earth, the stock market. The exact same mental shortcuts that allow you to navigate daily society become fatal flaws the moment you place a trade. In the market, your mind is your own worst enemy. We are biologically wired to feel the pain of a loss far more intensely than we feel the pleasure of an equal gain. This mental glitch is known as loss aversion, and it destroys trading accounts every single day. Because of loss aversion, the average trader holds on to losing investments for far too long and sells winning trades far too soon. When a trade goes red, the pain of admitting you were wrong is simply too much for your ego to bear. So you refuse to cut the loss, and instead, you hold on out of a desperate emotional hope that the market will bounce back. You try to negotiate with the screen, blocking out the obvious reality that the trend has turned against you. But what happens when a trade actually goes your way? The moment you see green, you are suddenly gripped by the absolute terror that the market will take your small profit away. Instead of letting the winner run, you panic and sell to secure the fleeting emotional joy of being right. You ride your losers into the ground out of hope, and you sell your winners out of fear. The market is completely neutral. It does not know you exist, and it owes you absolutely nothing. Yet it acts as a mirror, reflecting every unresolved fear, greed, and internal conflict hidden deep inside your mind. If you trade to prove something to yourself, or if you trade out of a desperate need to be right, the market will systematically wipe you out. So, how do you break this cycle of self-destruction? How do you forge a mind capable of mastering both life and the markets? The only way to win is to replace human emotion with a cold, systematic, mathematical approach. You must completely strip away hope, fear, and ego. To master the market, you must learn to think exactly like a casino operator. A casino does not panic if a player wins a single hand of blackjack or hits a jackpot on a slot machine. They do not sweat, they do not pray, and they do not let emotion dictate their actions. They remain calm because they know they have a mathematical edge. They know that over a large enough sample size of events, the odds guarantee they will walk away incredibly wealthy. The master trader approaches the market with this exact same mindset. Every single moment in the market is utterly unique. Anything can happen, and you must accept that you do not need to know what is going to happen next in order to make money. But to survive, you must absolutely predefine your risk before you ever enter a trade. You must accept the potential loss completely, without a single shred of emotional discomfort or hesitation. When you truly accept the risk, the market completely loses its power to cause you emotional pain. If there is no threat of pain, there is absolutely nothing to fear. And if there is no fear, you cannot make the devastating, impulsive mistakes that ruin ordinary traders. You implement a rigid, emotionless system of risk management. When a trade hits your stop loss, you do not hope and you do not pray. You simply exit the position. The loss is not a reflection of your personal worth. It is merely a business expense required to find the winning trades. You stop trying to predict the future, and instead, you trade the probabilities. Your mind is either the architect of your wealth or the engineer of your ruin. Become the invisible architect. Build the structure, follow your rigid rules, and let the cold math of probabilities build your empire.